Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Digimon 2020. If my voice sounds a little weird, I'm still a little sick. I've been sick since Christmas Eve, and yeah, I had like two different illnesses at the same time, and it just hit me hard. Anyway, Digimon 2020. I finally got to watch Digimon 2020. I started a couple of months ago, then I stopped, and now I just finished it up. Now, I forced myself to watch 10 episodes a day while I was sick, and honest to God, I wish I never watched this series. You'd have no idea how gutted I am about this series. I am disgusted by this series because if you ever hear any of my Digimon videos, then you know for a fact 01 is my all-time favorite season of Digimon. I still think it's the best Digimon season ever. I don't think no other season compares to it. I know a lot of people love season 3 because it's dark and gritty, but just because something is dark and gritty does not mean it is the best. I believe that 01 has the best cast, the best Digimon, the best plot, and the best like story and stuff. I love the original Digimon season, the first season, so much. I wish those kids were real so I could be friends with them and everything. It came out in 1999. I was probably a junior in high school at that time. And when I watched Digimon, it was one of the coolest things I ever watched. Because I've never seen anything quite like this. Similar to like Sailor Moon or Power Rangers, but completely different. And it was truly a phenomenon and everything. And with each season that passed, it hasn't quite hit the stride that the original series has and stuff. And when I heard that they was making this in 2020, I was ecstatic, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, like, I love 01. And so I'm like, cool, they're going to reboot it similar to what they did to Sailor Moon Crystal. But Sailor Moon Crystal was not a huge success. Sailor Moon Crystal is divisive and everything. But I'm all like, you know what? The different team, maybe they'll do justice to this, you know, unlike Sailor Moon Crystal and stuff. And well, after just watching like the first episode, I'm just like, what the heck did I just watch? Why did they go all the way to the Digimon movie with Omnimon or, you know, our war games and stuff like that? Like, why in the world was that the first thing where those two Digimon, you know, merged? And I'm just like, they haven't even had their adventures yet. I'm like, so they're uber powerful already. And then it went into the actual like show, and I'm just kind of like, okay, look, I knew going into this it was going to be different. I'm okay with different because they can't tell the exact same story that they did in season 1 of Digimon back in 1999. This is for a brand new audience. This is for a brand new feel. Nostalgia is huge right now where they want to reboot everything, and every time they want to reboot things, it doesn't always happen out very well. But you know, I've always been okay with new iterations of like my hero stuff growing up. The Batman was a really good cartoon series. Not as great as Batman anime series, but still good. Spider-Man, well, Spectacular Spider-Man was really good from Spider-Man the what was it, animated series. X-Men Evolution was really good from X-Men the animated series. And you know, so I'm like, okay, if I like those, maybe I'll like this. But I could not believe all that they changed. And like I said before, I'm okay with change, but change has to make sense. And if you can't make it to make sense, don't even bother. And one of the problems I had with this series was similar to Sailor Moon Crystal. They constantly kept getting power-ups out of the blue, but they would never earn. My problem is every time they would get a new Digivolution, it was never, ever earned. Just because you fight in a battle is not earning your power up. They didn't learn no life lessons in this series, to tell you the truth. Power-ups just happen at random. there was no real tag or crest, and then they didn't bring the crest in until about like 10 or 15 episodes towards the end of the series. And I'm just kind of like, crests are an important part of the Digimon, like season 1 and season 2, especially in season 1. There is specific reason why those tags and crests were created. It tells you the individual like emotional power that like the Digidestin has, that gives to their Digimon and stuff. It tells you the type of person that they truly and really are, even though you can't always see it on the surface. Like Tai is courage. He's not just some hothead who rushes into stuff. He's very brave and stuff. Matt copes with like friendship. And Sora, you know, she believes she's incapable of loving someone. And that is what their crests are. Mimi is sincerity, I think, which is very odd for her because she's a very selfish person. Joe is very reliable. We all know Izzy is the smart one for knowledge and stuff. And then there's light and hope. And when they got their quest, their crest, you know, they went on adventures to get those crests. They, you know, went through the ringer just to like, you know, get those crests and everything and discover the type of person that they are. And it taught us the type of person that they really are. This show didn't do none of that crap. They was constantly just getting their symbols as their Digimon will always like digivolve and stuff. And they never wanted to explain to the audience why that was. Then when they finally introduced the crest towards the end, they just constantly kept saying, we don't know what the crests are, or who created them, or why they're here. That's because the writers had no explanation for it. And then the Digimon and Digidestin will get those crests, and it's like, well, why did they get them? Now, to us, the audience who grew up with this, we knew exactly why they got those crests. But to the new audience, what this is for, they won't have no clue. There's no Jedi to help them navigate through like the digital world. The digital world itself looks so ordinary and plain. It didn't even feel like he was in a different world other than those weird H shape, like, you know, digital code thing that would be scattered everywhere. Other than that, the sky was always the same color, the land was always the same color, the water is the same color as the real world and everything. And you never really felt like you was in the digital world. Not only that, but this series had a lack of a plot. I would say this series is about 90% action and 10% story, and it's barely a story. From the first half, we know who the main bad guy is, Devimon. After that, we really have no idea who is the central main villain of the show, because they just fight random Digimon, and those random Digimon just have random Digimon bosses and stuff. Other than that, they really don't have no real significant villain. And then all of a sudden, the catastrophe is always the big bad thing at the end. It's like, well, what the heck is that supposed to be? And you know, it's quite a shame because, you know, one of the things that I complained about in the original Digimon series was that there was a lack of action. Action scenes will happen very quickly, and it will mostly just hit you with your finishing maneuver, and a fight will last less than a minute. Now, one great thing they did with this series is that the action is always top notch. The Digimon actually fight in hand-to-hand combat, and it's just not stock footage of them using their special maneuver, their final blow and everything. So I appreciate that. They did action well. The problem is, this show is literally just action. The Digimon and Digidestin will just start walking somewhere, and all of a sudden, a bad Digimon will come out of nowhere and just attack them, and they have to fight for the entirety of the episode. And then somebody will get like a power-up at random and stuff. And the lack of focus in the story is a bummer because the story is supposed to drive the show. The only thing that's driving the show is they have to find the two celestial Digimon. Of course, you know, is Anjumon and Anjuwoman. Well, once they found those two, the show should have ended, right? What was the point in lagging on the show for over 20 more episodes and stuff? Or 27 or whatever. It's like the show just kept lingering on and lingering on with no reason. And so why are they still in the digital world? It amazes me how the original series was able to tackle so much. They was able to tackle the emotional journey that these 8 kids went through. Yeah, was it 6 or 7? Oh, okay, they're looking for the 8th child. Okay, anyway, yeah, the emotional journey that these 7 kids went on then when they eventually got 8, but they still was, it was able to tackle the emotional journey they went on. Self-discovery. It had action. It had multiple villains that actually had a reason why they was doing what they was doing, and it broke it up into 3 different acts. And so you had multiple villains and all their henchmen and stuff, and they actually had motivation as to why they did what they did. Then, you know, there was that journey of them trying to get back to the real world. There was that journey of them trying to get their tags and crests. It was their journey in the real world, trying to navigate, you know, just being back into Normandy and everything, and trying to find the 8th child, and trying to hide their Digimon in the real world and everything. And then for them to only go back to the digital world to fight another evil because time passed at a different rate. And so the digital world that they knew was pretty much in chaos and everything because they was in the real world. Then, you know, for them fighting that Apocalypse, which that just came out of nowhere. And then that huge emotional turmoil of them being ripped apart from their Digimon and having to go back into the real world. That broke my heart as a teenager watching that because it was so emotionally good. This new series ain't got none of that crap. And one of the worst offenders of them all is the Tai and Agumon show. They put so much focus on Tai and Agumon. It is disgusting. And I like Tai and Agumon. It's kind of what the Fox X-Men movies did with Wolverine. They gave us too much of a good thing and they constantly kept giving it to us and nobody else. What was the point in having the other Digimon and Digidestin on this show if it's just going to be Tai and Agumon? Like, take TK, which I'm so glad they did not make annoying this series, because he was annoying in the original one. But TK spent most of his time being with Tai and not Matt, and Matt is his brother who he never gets to see. They took away that emotional element from Matt and TK and everything, and instead it's just TK hanging out with Tai. And every time the Digimon and Digidestin would go on their separate like ways, which was so random, Tai will always show up and save the day. I don't understand that. It's just kind of like, why was he crammed into this show? It boggles my mind. And it made me dislike Tai and Agumon. It made me sick to death of them. Every time they came on screen, I just wanted to like throw something at the TV because I was sick and tired of seeing them. Even the Digidestins who had their individual episodes had Tai crammed in there and had him fighting most of the battles and stuff. Excuse me. And another thing that kind of bugged me about this series was this whole attachment to their Digimon. In the original series, sometimes they would ride their Digimon if the Digimon was big enough, you know. And it was very rare for them to ride their Digimon because their Digimon would stay in the rookie form most of the time. But never ever during a battle were the Digidestins attached to their Digimon as they're fighting, because that's dangerous. And all of these Digidestins should have been dead after the first battle because they're constantly sitting on top of their Digimon as their Digimon's getting blasted and thrown around. And Tai and Matt definitely should be dead because Matt took a energy blast head on and somehow survived. It's stupid and it's reckless, but it's to show that the Digidestin are so bonded to their Digimon that they give them extra strength just by being attached to them. That is stupid. Yes, it happened in season 2. Because I can give that a pass, slightly, only because season 2 tried to be so different from season 1. They needed something different, and most of their Digimon walked on all fours, and they just rode them like horses and stuff. But mostly during like the battle, they would like get off their Digimon because that would be the smart thing to do. And here they're constantly always on their Digimon, and they're constantly holding their Digivices in their hands. And you know, that really just got on my nerves after a while because it's not showing me you're that powerful and stuff. And not to mention, but the Digivolutions all sucked. Digivolutions is one of the funnest things to watch in the original series. And the fact that not only was it constantly done in real time, but when they actually went into detail, it was atrocious and everything. I will give them credit. I do like the fact that they have new clothes. It was nice to see them wear new duds. Except for Ty and Joe for some bizarre reason. They just put them in their same outfits, but slightly tweaked in everything. I guess because Ty is the main one, but why Joe? And as for personalities and voices, it took a while for me to get used to their new voices. And I mean, it took me a while to get used to those. Some of their voices, like when I first heard them, I'm just kind of like, you know, no. But then after a while, they started to sound like the original people. Some of them did. Some of them still can't. Kari's new voice actress, oh my god, her voice gets on my nerves. Every time Kari would talk, I just got irritated. But one thing that was interesting is that when we first meet our Digidestins, their personalities are all different from the original series. Especially Joe, who's very arrogant and everything, wanting to be the leader because he's older and always wanting to just to study. But then after that first appearance, then all of a sudden, they start to have the personality that we all know and love for the most part. Still just tweaked a little bit here and there. Some personalities were done a bit better. Mimi was a lot nicer at times when she was being nice. That made sense for her to be sincere and everything, because the original Mimi was so selfish and a little bit cowardly and everything. But this one always kind of they emphasize a lot on Mimi, and like, you know, they still made her bratty, but not as bratty, and she was a little bit more caring and stuff. Sora, what is up with the creators of Digimon that do her so dirty? Ever since the first series, she has been treated like crap. In Digimon Try, she was treated like crap. And that last movie, last Kizuna, whatever you call it, she was really done dirty. And here, she's just there. But she doesn't really have no significance. She's just there. And it's really sad. Matt is just a jerk. He just comes off as a jerk this season. I don't like the way he talks this season, on this series. I don't like how laid back he is. He has like no emotions whatsoever, and they try to play him off as the cool person. It isn't towards the end until he starts to have emotion. And even when TK shows up, he's not really being that overprotective big brother like he was in the original series. That's something that gave Matt a redeeming quality, was his protectiveness of his brother. Also, the feud he had with Ty. These characters don't have character development, not as good as the original series. The original series, they had character development within themselves, within their Digimon, and with their parents. They was able to cram all that into the original series, and here you have none of that. And it just really baffles me. Now, I do like how they have new Digimon, bad people fighting them and stuff. Which, by the way, why is it every time a bad Digimon fights them, they never really talk? They just attack. And the main villain will talk at a while. but you know, not really. And also the Digivolutions, I do like how they went mega. Finally, we get to see some mega Digivolutions with the core team. But one thing is so bizarre and strange is like, why did Patamon go from Angemon to Pegasusmon? It's never explained, and it's never explained what Digivolution is Pegasusmon, because it ain't from O2. And why was there no Nefertimon? And so it's just kind of like the writers, just like the creators are like, okay, we see this from this season, this from that season. Let's just throw that in and let's not explain like nothing. And then when I say they get their power ups, my God, it's like every episode they get their new power up. Kind of like Sailor Moon Crystal when it sped through. The only good thing about Sailor Moon Crystal, it was 13 episodes, so it was okay to speed through some of that stuff. Here it's 67 or something like that. So once they all get their champion, then they get their ultimates. And then they start to slow down as they get their megas, except for that of Tai. And once he goes to War Greymon, then he becomes Blazing Greymon, which he only does one time. And it's kind of like, well, what level is he? Because they don't explain it. And not to mention, Gabumon, when did he become such a terrible fighter? Once, okay, when he's rare Garurumon, he's good. But when he is Metal Garurumon, oh my God, his fighting sucks so bad. And he's supposed to be a mega. And I don't get that. Like, I really don't. And I don't understand why some of these Digimon can't fight that well. Angelwoman cannot fight that well. Also, they barely show her in the series. That's probably because guys crushed on her too much back in '99. There's this one YouTuber who loves her so much he brought her statue and stuff. So let's talk about the evil Digimon for a second. So, like, one of the cool things about the original series is that not everybody's evil. Some people are possessed by dark spears and stuff like that, or gears, I should say. They try to do something similar with this season with the Black Myoza or something like that. Basically, it's like this dark gas or liquid or whatever that comes up from the ground, and some people turn evil from that. But then this is quickly dropped. That entire storyline is just dropped out of like nowhere. Don't know exactly where it comes from, why it turns people bad, but it does. And it only lasts for like a couple episodes, and then it's completely dropped for like a new thing. The new thing is Black Lightning. And apparently, if you get hit by the Black Lightning, you digivolve and turn evil. This is quickly dropped out of like nowhere. And then the Black Miasma thingy comes back for one episode and then just completely disappears. What was the point in even like introducing that if they weren't going to go into full detail? It was pointless and it was stupid. So just like with the original, the Agumon variant turns evil. In the original, it's because Tai kept pushing him to digivolve and everything when he wasn't ready, when Tai just kept inserting himself into the fight. And so instead of going ultimate, he went into Dark Skull Greymon or something like that. Here is different. Tai literally gets eaten by a Digimon, which pisses off the Agumon variant to where he dark digivolves. But then they're able to rescue him and everything like that. So basically, if your Digidestin gets hurt, a Digimon will literally turn evil. That is intriguing in itself. It's something that should have been explored a whole lot more. But like always, it never is. I like how Devimon had a bit more time to shine. It was nice to like see him because he didn't last that long in the original series. It was also interesting that he is technically Angemon. Basically, it's Angemon's dark side, the shadow that separated from Angemon and turned to Devimon. It's nice to see them two duke it out like fist to fist and everything, but sadly he did not last long. But it was nice that he got some time to shine. Sadly, some major villains in the original series did not appear in this one, and when they did, it was just like a one-off thing where basically they was just like, you know, irritated about something and wanted to fight, which is something a lot of these Digimon now do. They get upset, then they just want to turn evil and just start fighting the Digidestin. Like there's this one potato mon or something like that. He's pissed because there's gonna be no more French fries. So he walks into the forest all pissed off and digivolves and tries to attack everybody. Once they calm him down, they realize his attack is potatoes and they're gonna eat that. Ew. I do like the new subplot of there being 6 kids who go to the digital world and they have to find the next 2. However, they don't all get there at the same time. When the Digidestin show up in the digital world, they're all scattered and they have to find each other one by one. Izzy is the only one in the real world, but he's in like the internet network or something like that, and it takes him a very long time to find the others. Why exactly is he in the network? I don't know. This is something new and different. They have to go look for the Celestial Digimon and the next 2 Digidestin. But of course, we already know who those are, but younger people do not. Sadly, however, the anticipation is just very weak because TK just shows up at a random in the digital world, and Kari has some kind of magical power where she transports everybody there. So in the original series, Ty was the only one who went back to the real world before, like, he went back to the digital world, and then they all went back to the real world. There, it was like a huge adventure looking for the 8th child. Here, all of the Digidestin, except for Matt and what's his name, Ty, are the only ones who don't go to the real world. When the others are in the real world, it's just like nothing. It's like there's no adventure, there's like no real nothing. Their Digimon are trapped in the network and they have to fight these weird virus type things that are attacking that aren't explained very well. Basically, they are sidelined. And so apparently whenever something major happens in the digital world, it happens in the real world, which is weird and bizarre. Like, things crashing into each other or blowing up or crap like that. And it's just so uninteresting. And like, I just don't understand how there's no thought process in that story arc in itself. Like, it's just really not. And so, like, the other kids are useless in the show until they return back to the digital world, which they are still, once again, kind of useless. However, one thing that does crack me up is that when they was in the real world, Joe's brother packed him a runaway bag. What the world is that myth? One good thing is that Leomon actually survives. This is shocking. Every season or series that this dude is in, he dies and everything. So it's cool he actually got to survive one. And it's also cool to see the different, like, you know, Digivolutions of other Digimon that we know. It's also interesting they brought in Digimon from season 4, but with completely different personalities and voices. Before I get into the great catastrophe, first let me just say the intro sucks. Second, let me just say the end credits suck. The first end credit suck and the second one sucks even more. The first one end credit is basically just Matt. The music to it is alright, but then the second music to the second end credit sucks even more. And I don't understand how they can mess up the end credits or even the intro, because the intro is one of the best things to the original series. Also the music and stuff. I just don't understand what the world they was doing when they created this series. Also, I don't like how it takes about 2 minutes and 30 seconds just for an episode to start. I'm sick and tired of that lady's narration. So the great catastrophe, the big bad catastrophe that's supposed to be like the end game of like end games and stuff, it's technically is Negamon. Apparently we've seen him early on in the series. I think in like the 3rd episode when Izzy was in like the network or something like that. And so like we've seen him also when the kids went to like the real world and the Digimon was in the network. And so it's just this little data thing that consumes like everything. And it's really evil and it's really bad and it has like a really cool design and it digivolves into all these different things. And so basically it causes these white patches in the sky, the digital world, and the human world and everything, as it's trying to go from one world to another one, destroying like everything. The humans see it, and of course, you know, like the kids try to defeat it. Something happens, their data gets knocked out, and then it's like they're in our world trying to like fight the tentacles. So basically, the Digidestins are just sidelined again to fight like tentacles and stuff. While of course, Matt and Ty form Omnimon to like defeat it in like the digital world. And they do that whole all war games things where all the kids see it and they send emails to like, you know, Izzy, and then he sends it to Ty and all of them. It does not have the same effect. It just simply doesn't. You don't even see the kids on the computers or nothing, like sending the emails, nothing like that. You see people observing it, but that's about it. And it's just a big, huge, like rock'em sock'em battle with Omnimon and Negamon and all this other crap. It's really underwhelming because it's a villain that's been there the whole time. We just haven't really been paying attention to him because they've been going on all these filler side quests and everything. And I'm sorry, but this series just sucks, man. The villains are underwhelming. It's just huge battles and everything. And one of the things that does get on my nerves when the Digimon and Digidestin are fighting is that the Digidestin are always telling their Digimon, do this attack, do it like at this second, or do it over there, or do this and do that. They're always micromanaging them and telling them what to do, like the Digimon don't know how to fight for themselves and everything. And it's really pathetic if you really think about it. Like whoever created this series, wrote it, I hope they never create nothing again, because this broke my heart. You know, like I cannot believe how crappy this series is. And, you know, nice new Digivices and new clothes and cool battles and everything and sharper animation is not enough to save this series. And I was wondering, because I remember, like, you know, this thing only got like one season and then they'll talk about like another season. And I'm just kind of like, oh, something wrong must have happened. And, you know, it got canceled and because it's utter garbage. It was just a nostalgia bait and everything. Even when the kids defeated the big bad evil and they had to go back to the human world, it wasn't that emotional heartstring tug that we had in the original one, because their Digimon got to go with them and everything and live with them as they hide them and stuff. Everybody went back to the real world except for Ty and Agumon, who stayed in the digital world for some reason. And I'm just kind of like, I feel bad for a younger generation who never saw the original and see this and probably think this is cool. No. This series just feels hollow. It feels soulless. And I don't even really feel like talking about it no more and going to like details, because there's really nothing to go into detail of. Because it's kind of like, you know, there's no character development between none of the characters and their Digimon. Things just randomly happen, and it's just the Ty show. It is literally just a Ty show, and it's a disgrace. It is just truly a disgrace to Digimon fans, and I hate starting the year off so negatively, but like, I can't help it, man, because some of the new videos I'm about to put out soon, like this and The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, the final season, they just didn't do it for me. And I wish to God I never watched it. I had to force myself to watch this show. I fell asleep multiple times watching this. I'm so pissed I could flip a table. Mufasa did not die for this. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.